Story 1, Babylon 5. I love that it was a 5-year story arc from the beginning and that the characters are all flawed in some way. Story 2, Kim's Convenience is a Canadian sitcom about a Korean family that operates a convenience store. It is truly humorous. Story 3, Merlin. Please watch if you have not seen it. It features a fair amount of famous actors, some from Game of Thrones and Harry Potter. Story 4. Not sure how popular or well-known the Mighty Boosh and the IT Crowd are outside of the United Kingdom, but they are considered British classics. Story 5. Black Sails starts as a pirate show and evolves into a masterpiece of storytelling, character depth, and political intrigue. It is criminally underrated. Story 6. I lost my television remote for a few days a couple of months ago. When I turned my television on, it was playing a black and white Western show called The Rifleman. It is literally the only show on this channel, and I wasn't able to change it to anything else. I am now obsessed with this show and watch it every night before bed. Story 7. Not common favorites, I would say Fleabag, Mr. In-Between, and maybe New Girl. However, that one might be more well-known than the others. Story 8. Dark, 2017. A mind-bending German science fiction thriller about time travel, fate, and family secrets. Underrated but absolutely brilliant. Story 9. Deadlock is a murder mystery comedy that masterfully blends genres, making it an exciting experience at times. The writing is excellent, featuring quality social commentary. I am thrilled that it was available on Prime and that a second season is finally coming. You need to tolerate one character for a few episodes until she becomes more acceptable, but her quirks are part of the humor. Also, be prepared for some explicit language as it was created by Australians. Story 10. Psych used to be quite popular, but I haven't heard the name mentioned in a while. I really enjoy Sean and Gus. Story 11. It's Gary Shandling's show. He broke the fourth wall more than Zach Morris and Deadpool combined. Story 12. How to Make It in America. It's a shame they canceled it early. Newsroom, Season 1, especially the pilot, was incredible. Story 13. Legion is infinitely rewatchable, oozes style, and features great characterization and acting. The writing is occasionally self-indulgent but always inventive and clever. It is one of the few shows that genuinely tries to advance the television format and often succeeds. Story 14. The original Twilight Zone. I am relatively young, so many people think it is strange that a show that started airing in 1959 is my favorite, but it is. For me, nothing comes close to how much I love that show. Story 15. Ghosts is one of the highest-rated comedies on CBS, right next to Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage. However, no one I know has heard of it. Story 16. I wouldn't say it is my absolute favorite show, but it features a 5,000-year-old herbivorous dragon. It has a long title and it's not even finished. I genuinely love it, but the manga was discontinued due to funding issues, which made me very upset. Story 17. Wentworth. I had to take months-long breaks during my first watch because Season 4 was so emotionally overwhelming. Story 18. Comic Book Men. I've never met anyone on this earth who likes this show. I've watched every episode at least 100 times. It's my #1 comfort show. My second favorite would be The Venture Brothers, but I feel like that's becoming more popular now. Story 19. Pushing Daisies is a show I watched during a challenging time in my life, and I fell in love with its whimsical and colorful style. A pie maker who can bring dead things back to life is pure genius. Story 20. My Name is Earl will forever be a comfort show for me, and it was unfairly canceled before the last few episodes. Story 21. My pick is one I'm sure most haven't seen, Turn. It aired on AMC from 2014 to 2017, and is based on the book Washington Spies. The story is set in Revolutionary War New York and New England, focusing on local spies who provide information to George Washington. The series ran for 4 seasons and concluded with a final episode. It was well written and well acted. While some viewers may have been put off by the historical aspect, it is truly a great drama, and they are missing out. Shout out to the lesser-known actor Ian Cahn for his portrayal of George Washington. His performance was precise and subtle, making it the best depiction of George Washington I have seen. Story 22. The Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Petticoat Junction franchise is extremely underrated in my opinion. Story 23. Does Community count? I consistently recommend it to people, but I feel like it is extremely well known online. Story 24. The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad is an old classic. You rarely see a one-eyed cyclops in movies nowadays. Story 25. There was a show called Otherworld that I absolutely loved as a kid. It was about a family that got sucked into an alternate dimension while they were on vacation. It was canceled pretty quickly, like most of the shows I liked. It's all available on YouTube, though. Story 26. I don't see much love for One Day at a Time remake. I dislike laugh track comedy, but this one executes it so well that it feels like an art form. Please don't interpret this to mean it's different from other comedies in the category. It's not. It just does it really well. Story 27. Urban Gothic. I have never met another person who has heard of it, let alone likes it. It was a low-budget horror series broadcast on Channel 5 in the UK around 2000, and I was so obsessed with it. I even have the logo as a tattoo since it was my first significant alternative obsession. There are a handful of episodes available online. Additionally, I pick it for having the most irritating introduction. Story 28. Action with Jay Marr and Ileana Douglas. You're the Worst with Chris Gere and Aya Cash. What We Do in the Shadows ensemble cast. Story 29. Third Rock from the Sun. Great premise, awesome characters, brilliant acting, and some really fun slapstick comedy. I have been watching on repeat since the series came out in the 1990s, and it never gets old. Let's go. Story 30. Mythic Quest. I love that show. It's so funny, and no one I ask has ever even heard of it. Story 31. Party Down was on Stars, which is why many people may not have known about it, but it is a funny show. There was also a sitcom from the early 1990s that frequently aired reruns on the USA Network in the early afternoon called Wings. Story 32. Yona of the Dawn is a great anime. It plays with existing tropes using humor while still being emotionally complex. Story 33. Eastbound and Down. It is just my type of humor and well executed over 4 seasons. Blue Mountain State. Alan Ritchson is perfect in this. Story 34. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and House are often discussed. House is generally appreciated, but it rarely appears on lists like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, or The Wire. I hardly hear anyone talk about Fresh Prince. Story 35. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is a horror comedy set in a campy 1970s hospital parody, and it is highly quotable. I have never exploded, but I know what it would feel like. Priest at a person's funeral who exploded. I'm sure we all feel that he exploded too young, but the Lord moves in mysterious ways. Sometimes he'll come in at an angle. Other times he can hover and then swoop. Sometimes he can even come in from beneath, like a worm or a mole. Story 36. Review with Andy Daly. I think it's a remake of a show from Australia. It's a comedy about a fictional program where the host reviews real-life experiences. Someone writes in and asks what it's like to rob a store. The host then has to do it and write a review of the experience. As it continues, it affects his personal life more and more. It gets wild. Story 37. It was a brief experience, but I remember watching 2 shows in college that I really liked because they were light and humorous, not trying to be anything too wild. Mixology and Resident Advisors. It's been a long time since I watched them, but I have fond memories of those shows. Story 38. Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal is created by the same artist as Samurai Jack. It features a caveman and a T-Rex with no dialogue, and it is truly amazing. Story 39. To Catch a Predator is comedic at times. The subreddit here is always good for a laugh if you know the show well enough. Story 40. Rake is an Australian show about a lawyer who, despite mostly good intentions, struggles with life. It has an amazing melancholy and comedy vibe. I have never been able to do it justice in my description, but it is well worth a watch. Just avoid the US remake. Story 41. Dead Like Me. I can count on one hand the number of people I know who have seen or heard of the show. Story 42. For me, it's Oliver's Travels. It is a mini-series from the UK and one of the best things I have ever seen. The best description is romantic comedy, murder mystery, and self-discovery. It stars Alan Bates and Sinead Cusack. If you find it, do not let it out of your possession. It never comes back. Story 43. Detectorists is one of the funniest shows of all time in a subtle way. It is heartfelt and sweet, but not overly sentimental. Story 44. Trailer Park Boys is a show about some good old boys from Nova Scotia who smoke marijuana, enjoy a few drinks, and end up in jail at the end of every season. I particularly love the first couple of seasons when they had no budget before it became popular, relying entirely on the writing. Story 45. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's basically the forgotten stepchild of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's one of the best Marvel or comic book shows ever. Story 46. Altered Carbon is a live-action series based on an anime. If you're into cyberpunk, this is a must-watch. The first season is exceptional, while the second season is not as impressive but still watchable. It seems they had to reduce funding for the second season. It's amazing. I can't emphasize that enough. Story 47. Slings and Arrows has been criminally underappreciated for 20 years. It is an excellent show, especially for those who love Shakespeare or theater in general. Story 48. Stitchers is an ABC family/freeform show where they solve crimes by stitching into the brains of the victims. Story 49. Burn Notice. It is a throwback to the classic action TV shows of the 1980s, combining elements of the A-Team and Magnum P.I. with a modern tone. The show features Bruce Campbell playing a character named Bruce Campbell. Story 50. Scrubs offers a blend of humor and emotion, providing laughter and introspection in every episode. The characters experience significant growth throughout the series. Story 51. I have probably seen Wentworth 4 or 5 times. Corner Gas is also a favorite. I have watched every episode about a dozen times. Story 52. Son of the Beach is a raunchy and funny sitcom that parodies Baywatch. It was produced by Howard Stern. Every other line in the show features a double entendre. The action takes place in Malibu adjacent, where the mayor is named Anita Massengill. I have the box set on DVD and haven't checked for it on streaming platforms. It's worth searching for. Story 53. Kingdom, not the Netflix zombie show, but the MMA family drama featuring Frank Grillo. My ex introduced me to it, and it is literally the only good thing that came out of that relationship. Story 54. Hell on Wheels feels like it was overlooked because it aired on AMC during the peak of The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and Mad Men. It ran for 5 seasons, yet I rarely hear discussions about it compared to those other shows. Story 55. Disenchantment is not widely known, and when people try to watch it, they often end up disliking it. However, I believe it is a great show. Story 56. I always enjoyed Warehouse 13. It had fun plots and great character chemistry, reminding me of a lighter, more comedy-focused version of Fringe. Story 57. Prophet lasted 6 episodes in the 1990s. Every single character was a self-serving individual who would lie, cheat, and steal to get ahead, and I was really looking forward to witnessing the chaos. Story 58. I don't know what the common favorites are, but I was absolutely hooked on Dexter, and I am looking for the new series coming out soon. Story 59. Battlestar Galactica nostalgia may play into why I feel it's the best ever. I thought HBO's Watchmen was incredible, but it had only 1 season. The Good Place is highly underrated and much smarter and more groundbreaking than people give it credit for. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.